do it. All right, let's get to the. I want to hear about some dongles.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're really gonna like this story because it kind of goes back to that Onion story we talked about how it feels like people just can't take a joke these days.
Yeah, everyone just loves being offended.
Yeah, and this goes along with that. So we made this dongle joke before, right? It's kind of the oldest tech joke in the book. Anytime someone says dongle, you kind of smirk because dongle and dong are euphemisms for a penis.
And
that's the explanation of the joke.
And
it's
it's
so
just
simple.
Yeah, and it just
It's
ends in
funny.
like an "ol," and it's like funny.
Yeah,
it's like,
like
oh, your dongle's
little
sticking
throwaway.
out.
10-year-olds will laugh at
Yeah,
that.
it's a
and
timeless
50-year-olds will.
classic.
For sure.
Timeless.
It'll always get laughs.
Right.
But unfortunately, its use in public recently cost a guy with 3 kids his job.
Oh.
No.
Right? So the backstory is that on Sunday there was this tech conference called PyCon. And there were a lot of tweets sent that day, but there was one in particular that really made headlines this week. And it was by a woman named Adria Richards, right? She, during one of the talks, she overheard a conversation between 2 men behind her. These 2 men worked for a company called Playhaven. And they're developers, and they were making a joke about dongles and forking, right? They said, oh, I would fork his dongle, referring to something that one of the speakers was saying. Now, forking is it's a developer's term.
Of course.
It's basically when you follow someone else's developer's project on like a website like GitHub or something like that. Not even sexual, but she took offense to the use of the dongle part of the joke.
Oh.
Right? And unlike someone in a movie theater that overhears someone talking behind them, instead of just shushing them or telling them that she was offended, here's what she did. She brought out her phone, she turned around, and with a smile on her face, she took a picture of the 2 guys, which is the photo we're looking at on the screen right now. Right? After that, she posted it on her own Twitter page, and she has thousands of followers, and then also added PyCon, the people that were hosting the conference, to do something about it.
What?
So this is overreaction in the most literal sense of the word, right? Like, and so what happened was they excused themselves from the conference afterward.
Was it? They were like just whispering between themselves.
It was a private conversation. They weren't yelling it out. They weren't being obnoxious. She overheard it.
Whatever happened to mind your own damn business,
Right,
lady?
right. She was essentially eavesdropping. Or maybe she just heard it because she was right in front of her.
Oh, your virgin ears.
Regardless. So PyCon responded immediately, and they were like, tell us where you're sitting. She pointed out her exact position, and afterwards,
She like interrupt the conference like, they're right there. These 2
Guys.
right here.
these are the assholes. It gets worse, though.
How could it?
So the PyCon developers that were throwing the conference came up, and they didn't kick the guys out. They excused themselves and left willingly, right? After that, the next day, this gained so much traction that one of the guys in the picture who worked for Playhaven got fired.
How?
And this is a guy with 3 kids.
How does this happen?
Yeah.
How do you get fired over this?
Yeah, it gets worse.
Did they even say a curse word? They didn't even
No,
curse.
they didn't say
Nope.
a curse word. It was just an off-color joke.
And even if they
that's been made
did,
a million
even
times
if they
before.
did, even if they were dropping F-bombs, it's
Right.
still okay.
Still, no, it's not okay.
It's okay.
No, that's
If
it's
they're
still
whispering between
inappropriate.
themselves, it's
Look,
inappropriate, but guess what? We're all big boys and girls.
Yeah. Okay, let me finish the story and then we'll talk about whether or not they deserved it. So, it's also worth noting also that Adria is actually a developer's evangelist for a company called SendGrid, right? So her job is to talk to developers, but she didn't do that. She tweeted this out. One of the guys got fired,
How did
and
he get
after that
fired?
story came out, this was on Tuesday,
Yeah.
Adria got a bunch of threats from the internet because it was posted on places
Well-
like Anonymous News and Hacker News, and these people kind of came together. And of course, there's always bad seeds in the bunch, right? And she got a bunch of death threats.
that's not
from
cool.
her Twitter page, from her blog page, her email, and Facebook. According to the Daily Dot, someone actually emailed her a picture of a woman bound and beheaded
Jesus.
with the message "When I'm done."
Oh yeah.
Right? So it
Okay,
got
that's
really
not
crazy.
Cool. That is not cool.
And then Anonymous, what people think was Anonymous yesterday, they ended up DDoSing SendGrid, the company that Adria worked for.
Oh yeah, this is
And then
spiraling
it got
out of
crazy.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, SendGrid sent out an email and posted a link on their page with a message that said that Adria had been fired.
No way.
Yeah.
She got fired.
She got fired. And although
No one should have lost
no
their
one should
job
have lost
over
their
this.
job. It should be worth noting that Adria didn't ask for the guys to get fired in her message because she did post a blog
Right, but-
after the conference explaining what happened.
But you-
she didn't call for their jobs.
Of course, and I don't, and obviously, she seems a little overreactionary as it is, but
Yeah.
of course you wouldn't
say that they should be fired
No.
over something like this. But she obviously didn't deserve to lose her job over this either.
Yeah.
I just that's the reaction people have when they are faced with controversy. They're faced with a problem that one of their employees is responsible for, and the knee-jerk sort of reaction is, let's cut this off at the root and just get rid of the problem
Right.
by firing them.
Yeah, it's just spiraled way out of control, right? It could have just been a simple matter of turning around and
Oh,
being
should
like,
be like, guys,
dude,
that's not
shut
funny.
up.
Stop.
Yeah, or like, hey, that kind of sucks. And then maybe the
Right.
guys would have come up after and been like, oh, I'm
Sorry.
really sorry about that.
Or
You know?
like right then and there, like, oh, sorry.
yeah, and that's it.
And it's over. No.
You know?
No. See, but I mean, I don't know. It's just like, man, is that really?
I get it though. You know, like there are a lot of people in public when you go on a bus, when you go to the movie theater, they're going to say stuff that you don't want to hear.
Exactly.
Right? It happens everywhere. But
This
you
is-
can't
it's
respond
exactly.
by public defamation like this. This is not what Twitter was created
it's
for.
messed up.
Exactly. There,
It's a total witch hunt.
The thing that she did,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to look at this completely objectively, the thing that she did in response is worse than what they did, in my
Oh,
opinion.
100%.
So, I don't want to look in no universe does she deserve to get the crap that's been thrown at her since what she did.
Right.
The death threats, that's terrible. Getting fired, that's awful.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
It's an
What
unfortunate
is-
situation.
Why are we such a generation of like people who get offended?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Twitter is all about. I know I've said this recently, but it's like that's all it is. It's a platform for the offended.
Yeah.
So ignore it. It's
Yeah.
the real world. Nobody's perfect.
But the thing is, like, I don't think that her being offended is the issue here, right? Like, anyone could be offended about something. It's
Right,
your
but no,
reaction
it's
to
her
it.
reaction to be
That's
offended.
really what dictates your
you
personality.
are well within your right to be offended by every last thing that you see, hear, and do.
Right.
That is fine. You want to be that person. You want to live that terrible life. Go for it.
Right, but to demonize them and then to call them out, and not only call them out, but show their faces online,
Right.
with a smile on your face as you're doing
Oh,
it.
yeah,
That's
totally.
disingenuous.
Right.
But it also brings up other issues. I think the larger story here is that there are a lot of women in technology that feel obviously underrepresented, right? Like we talked about that at CES this year. There was a women in tech panel with Molly Wood, and unfortunately, she is an ambassador of this community as a developers evangelist, and it kind of paints the wrong picture of women in tech,
Yeah.
right? Like after this, now people are going to be wary, maybe, to hire female developers, worried that they're going to be offended at every little joke.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's obviously not the right way to go about
I don't know if-
hiring people.
You think? I don't even
But
look at like the gender.
it just
thing
shows
here.
that I'm afraid that some idiots will now start thinking that women in tech are overly sensitive.
No, I don't want that to happen. I don't really,
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't think that's going to be a side effect of that. I just don't. I don't think this is a gender thing.
Yeah.
I think this is someone who was easily offendable,
Mhm.
regardless of their gender. It could have been, you know what it is? It's not guy, it's not girl, it's whiny. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Right.
Okay?
She's a
It's
tattletale.
whiny.
That's
Yeah.
what this all comes
She's
down
a
to.
narc.
Yeah, she's a total narc.
Okay? It doesn't matter that she's a woman, doesn't matter if it's a man.
Yeah,
It's just a person being a narc.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, as someone who tends to say a lot of things that are offensive,
I don't say offensive stuff.
not necessarily intentionally to piss
really.
people off,
I don't do it to upset people.
but we do. I mean,
like
like on-
poking? You
on,
like to
this
poke and
show,
prod?
we always
Yeah,
say
we
stuff.
poke and prod.
Yeah, of course, and it happens all the time. And I would like to think that the way we say it, our delivery, and just the perception of this show is that everything is made in jest. But we've experienced in the past that not everyone gets the joke. You know what's
Sure.
really terrifying though is that we're on a public forum, and what we say here, we know will be broadcasted.
What?
But now, it's kind of, we're living in the future where anything you say can be overheard by someone who will make actionable stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrifying?
It really just makes you think twice before you tweet anything.
Before you say anything.
Yeah.
Because now everyone has access to Twitter.
Yep.
Right? You
No.
never know who's going to be around that has thousands of followers will demonize you.
You're right, man.
And who knows? Maybe this guy won't be able to get another job because he's seen as
I don't know. I think this whole thing, like a lot of things on the internet, will blow over.
I mean, not for the two parties involved, right? Like Adria Richards as a developer's evangelist is never going to get hired for that position again, right? This guy, I don't know. I mean, so far he hasn't gotten other job offers. He posted
Yeah.
a reply to it, actually a very polite reply, probably to save his own ass, where he apologized to her.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have. It just spiraled way out of control.
Yeah, totally.
It's just unfortunate for everyone involved.
So yeah, I mean but the it's like this depersonification that these companies have with their employees. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the second things get public and the second things get a little too hot
Mhm.
on the internet or on Twitter, you're done.
Yeah. Well,
just
I mean, you
silence
go to
that.
these conferences representing the company you work for.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
makes sense they wouldn't want someone in either case.
It makes me scared to say anything at these tech events I go to now, because I could totally see myself just hanging out with my coworker, making little jokes, you
Yeah.
know, and what, lose my job the next day?
Yeah.
Or like some
Sucks.
CEO's behind you and he's like, "Who's that guy?
Yeah,
I
right.
just heard him say this and this and that."
Well, you were talking the other day about attending. I forget which keynote it was, but you were with Roger Chang.
Yep.
And you guys were talking about, this thing sucks. Like, this
Oh,
is
the
ridiculous.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, what if someone had overheard you and been like,
They
Jeff
probably
Backler
did.
doesn't care about his job, gets
They-
back to CNET, you get fired.
Something like that, yeah.
I could see that happening in a
Yeah.
world like this.
But I mean, I also think there's a time and a place. Like in that context, it's an editorial opinion,
Yeah.
whereas I can't be scrutinized for my editorial opinion in a sense that these people were just acting inappropriate. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's not maybe the most. If something like that were to happen, it wouldn't be the most. Appropriate sort of situation, but
Right.
nevertheless, it's still like an editorial, relationship.
Right, right.
But
And you weren't
you're-
commenting on the product itself.
Right.
It was the speaker, but
Right.
regardless.
Regardless.
Beatmaster in the chat room brings up a great point. He says, imagine that situation with Google Glasses,
Oh,
right? When
yeah.
eventually when people won't know they're being recorded.
Oh man,
This is what I was saying before, how you're
What-
going to have to amend your
what kind
social
of a world
graces.
are we just about to enter? I feel like we don't even know right now.
Yeah.
We you think it's bad now? I don't know.
No
Yeah,
one's
it's
going to talk
terrible.
anymore.
No one's gonna talk.
Yeah, that
It's
might
just
be a
gonna
good thing.
it's gonna be a series of blinking to each other. That's
And of
it.
course, this came out. Check this out: forkmydongle.com.
that's a big.
It's basically a web store where you can buy a T-shirt that says "Fork My Dongle" on it. 100% of the profits are going to be donated to Girls Who Code, which is a program that does exactly that. It's a pretty good cause. So if you want a T-shirt that you can only wear for the next 2 days, buy it here.
What would happen to like go fork yourself?
Yeah, go for it.
I'd rather wear that on my chest.
Same deal.
All right. That's going to do it for us today, guys.
depressing.
866-404-SID. No, not depressing, just interesting. Good conversation.
No
right
more
there.
jokes allowed ever.
No more jokes. You're not allowed to be funny, planet Earth.
Right.
No more smiling or laughing.
The thing is, making a dongle joke isn't even funny. Though.
It's, yeah,
It's not
Like
even
she should have
creative.
been
humor.
like, guys, that's such a lame ass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
totally,
what she should
totally.
have said.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, there'll be a time and a place again, I'm sure.